Going on, people? What's really good? It's your boy Mar Black, and this is the Nerds in the Hood. Folks, another Love Island summer is in the books. The reason why I call it Love Island summer is because last year and now this year, both Love Islands aired around the same time. And by both Love Islands, I mean Love Island UK and Love Island USA. Last year, they both aired in the summertime. They both ended around the end of the summer. The Olympics kind of pushed the USA one back, but now there's no Olympics. And both of them, once again, aired in the summer and ended around the same time in the summer. UK always has more episodes than the US. US has half the episodes that the UK does. And then Australia is another good one, but Australia does theirs more towards the end of the year, usually, I believe, around like October, November ish. So it's always hard for me to do like a three-way debate for those because they basically are just, their own thing at a different time. So I kind of forget what USA and UK do because Australia is so far away. Anyway, my focus right now is on these two regions and how different they were and who was the better one this year. Now, last year, the USA definitely took home the W. They had better cast, they had better situations, they had better everything, in my opinion. The UK version was cool, but the US version just shined a little bit more. So this year we're gonna do it again with my Love Island shirt that makes me look like Denzel Washington from Out of Time, and we are going to have some fun. Now, first off, I just want to say when it comes to best cast, who had the better cast between the boys and the girls? Now, this season was definitely different. The men of Love Island USA were definitely not stellar, but the men of Love Island UK also wasn't that much better. It was definitely headlined by Harrison and Harry and Ben and Dijon, whereas Love Island USA was more. Well, yeah, it was Love Island UK. Love Island USA was more like uh, Ace and Brian and Austin and Jeremiah. And Brian was cool, but Chris. So it's like who had a better dudes that you like sat there and rooted for in some ways. And honestly, USA probably edged them by a little bit. Like there was dudes that you were cool with on the UK, but there was nobody, even with Cash, as cool as he was, you didn't really root for any of them to be that happy. Whereas the men on the USA one, you didn't fully root, but you were intrigued by Nick's journey. You were a little intrigued by Jeremiah's journey, and you laughed at Chris. So I'm gonna give that nod to the USA. Whereas the girls, on the other hand, this one's more of an interesting toss-up because Huda became an overnight popularity. Landria also became pretty popular, and Shelly did too. Um, the one that stood out the most was Amaya, which is why she won. However, there is just something about these three women. USA had their own Powerpuff Girls group last year, which was Leah, Serena, and Janae. And they also had friends like Liv and like Kayla, right? Whereas the UK version has given us this year's version of that three-woman group, which is Yasmin, who came in third place, Shakira, who came in second place, and Tony, who won the whole thing. Plus, they had a woman on there who was the first American contestant to enter United Kingdom territory to be in this game. And I don't mean she was the first American to be in the UK. I mean she was the first American to be in the UK version of that game. Um, Basically, she was the first American person to go on Love Island OG. So she went on there. Was the first Love Island contestant, first Love Island bombshell, first Love Island winner that was American. Um, and people loved these three women. They stood up against the so-called mean girls and just went to town and won together. Now they're on magazine covers, they're in radio interviews, TV interviews. They're out here, they're outside, and they're outside the villa. So this one I'm gonna give to the girls. Amaya really made me almost say the US, but this one I'm gonna say the girls because those three women right there. I mean, Meg, we love to hate her. Helena, we love to laugh at her. But these three women made that happen. Who had the better hosting duties? Now, I will say Maya Jama stepped up this year. She was speaking up in moments where she definitely should have. When Ben tried to play Tony, she was like, "Yeah, Ben, that wasn't the right thing to do." Like she spoke up a little more. There was times where she was a little more vocal. She did step up. Usually, she don't really put her foot in the business. She don't even jump in. She just be like, "Yeah, I gotta hash that out. I'm gonna stand here and give y'all a minute." This time, she actually did step up and was like, So she did her thing, and I'm always gonna be biased for my people. But Ariana Madix definitely held it down. She definitely still speaks up for those people on the show. She defends people when they are well in their right to be defended, and she speaks up when she needs to speak up. So I gotta give this nod to the Americans. I know it's 2-1 right now, but I gotta give it to the Americans. Ariana Madix just did a good job, and she's gonna continue to do a good job. Now, when you comes to the best woman to hate or best love to hate woman, you have Huda versus Megan. Or are we saying Meg? We're saying Meg, right? Yeah. So Huda versus Meg. Both people did not win, but they came within the top five. Huda getting a little higher in the top three. Now, Meg was very delusional because of the fact that she felt that she could say what she wanted, but she couldn't be said it back to, even though she was nice to people. And she thought that she can go all the way with Dijon. Huda thought that she can go all the way at one point with Jeremiah. And then she was wrong. Then she thought she can go all the way with Chris. And she almost even had me fooled, but she was wrong. Now, Huda did leave the villa and try to talk about everybody, where Megan left the villa and went more on a redemption tour, where she tried to let people know that she's not as bad as people thought she was. So I'm going to give that nod to Meg because she wasn't horrible. We did love to hate her, but in reality, she really wasn't a bad person. So she just was a person that thought that she could win with the strategy that she did. Where Huda, you kind of realize after the villa, this might just be you, fam. Like, yeah, you're gonna probably be successful. You're gonna let this ride with you for a little while, and that's okay. But this might actually be who you are. And we have to understand that. And I should give the nod to Huda, but I don't think people love to hate her anymore. I think it's a little bit worse. So I'm gonna give that nod to Meg. And that's the best Islander. I'm not gonna go like boy and girl all the time. I'm gonna say by that. So I'm gonna also say best challenges are also gonna go to the UK because the UK does things like, you know, they do the snog marry pie joint. They do stuff like that. They did the games with the chalkboard. They did different things like that. That was pretty cool. And they always start off crazy because it starts with mad calm and then they air things out crazy. And then they even got the Superman joint where they had the movie promotional tie-in where the actual movie Superman, where these dudes were saying crazy things too, and that was pretty cool to me. Whereas the US, it was that Megan Thee Stallion challenge, which was kind of cool, and the standing on business challenge was kind of cool. But other than that, there wasn't really a lot of challenges where you had to go, oh, like maybe the other one where they had to do that like lumberjack thing, that was kind of cool. But there wasn't really a lot of standout challenges. And there wasn't a lot of challenges that made people speak up more outside of the standing on business challenge. So that one was and it was kind of corny to me because it was more of a anonymous challenge where even though in the reunion we realized who said what, and then even in the challenge, people kind of stood on business and was like, "I said that." So I don't know if that really served a lot of a purpose. They could have just said it instead of putting it in a mailbox. Anyway, so I feel like the UK's ones were more about what they were supposed to do. They did their purpose, which was fill drama, get it cracking, get you in the mood to be like, I'm finna to crash out. That's what it was supposed to do. That's what I respected about it. So they had the better challenges, whereas the better events, which was non-challenges, also unfortunately by default went to the UK version because they had movie night. Like it don't really get no better than movie night. But they also had the Grafties, which was an award show, which also kind of like shits on the contestants too. That's cool. So they had the Grafties, they had the movie night. America didn't do that. They could have at least did the movie night. They did it before. They could have did movie night, and they chose to not do movie night. They need to start doing the Grafties, and they chose to not do the Grafties. And yeah, okay, you don't want to say snog. You can still do Kiss, Marry, Pie. And they chose to not do that. They chose to do their own thing because I guess they don't want to be too much like the UK version. But even Australia is like, screw it. We'll be as much of the American version as they can. But even the Australian version is more unique because they have the truth bike, which is like, whoa. Which I think UK's done it before, but Australia's is brutal. So I feel like the UK version really, again, they enhance the drama when they can. They do things that are more like crazy. And it's like, we need that. We need that. Speaking of better random eliminations. Oof, that I gotta really give to the UK because they did things like, for example, the UK version, cats came out of Casa Amor thinking, okay, I'll just be single and I'll figure it out. No, people who were already in the villa that came out of Casa Amor single got eliminated. That was very random. It's been done before, but for this season, that was random. America kind of did that a couple of times, but it wasn't as random as the UK. The UK was throwing it out there. They was like, you two, battle it out. Somebody got to go home. It was stuff like that. Like, raise the stakes. America wasn't really raising the stakes. They were just kind of like the drama was unfolding as it should, but give us some more. Give us some juice, man. Raise the stakes. Let's get it going. Okay. Um, Best celebrity guest is automatically gonna go to the US. The US had Megan the Stallion. I think if I'm right, UK had Tiny Tempa, right? No, no. They had T Wayne. I'm so sorry. They had T Wayne. T Wayne is a rapper. Right? Because I think he did that. Yeah, I think he was on there. It was T Wayne. T Wayne's a rapper. Good dude. I've heard his music. He got some hits. But Megan Thee Stallion, man, that's a bigger star. No disrespect to T Wayne at all, but it's Megan Thee Stallion. And she did something a lot different than T did. She didn't perform. She didn't perform. She went out, she pulled up on the villa with her whole swimsuit on, came through, showed off her swimsuit line, and got a basically an even exchange. Let me show off my swimwear, and at the same time, I'll interact with your people and be a guest star on one of the episodes. Deal. And not only did she do that, on the spinoff, Love Island Beyond the Villa, she invited some of the ex Islanders from the last season to her fashion show in Miami. So she was doing double duty without fully having to do a lot. So in the villa, she stood up for Huda, she stood up for other women, and they had a blast being themselves. And we got to see Huda in a different light. For just one moment, Megan Thee Stallion made us love Huda so much. And the minute that woman walked out the villa, we didn't love her that much anymore. So Megan Thee Stallion automatically is holding it down for the US because of the fact that she did that. She did her own challenge. She didn't sing. She did her own little chill time with everybody, and then she bounced. So she interacted with them. The celebrities don't really do that, especially in the UK version. They just be like, "Yo, y'all having fun? All right, cool them out," and that's it. So, and it's not a bad thing. Hey, you get the money. Give me that money. I'm gonna go. So, US automatically wins. Best celebrity appearance off the rip. Best family day. Um, that once again is gonna have to go to the UK because the UK was critiquing their children. They was grilling these mugs. Meg and Dijon's family told her straight up, yo, y'all don't even look like y'all be laughing. Be like, what's going on, fam? Helena's parents came and cheered her up so she could feel better. And before she was eventually going to get eliminated, like that was real. That was real love and respect right there. They had a better family day. Um, Off the rip, US Family Day was cool, but I feel like UK's was better. And let's do it. Best to me, it is one of my least favorite episodes of Love Island. Family Day is one of them, and this is my second one. Best Parenting Day, and that was the day where parents, pull up and not the parents, sorry, where they have to be parents for fake, and pull up with a baby. That one I'm actually gonna give to the U.S. The U.S. one, it allowed us to see the chinks in the armor that Chris and Huda had, and that's where some of the downfall happened. It happened right in that moment where Chris was like, "Shut up!" And she told me to shut up, and it was a lot of that. It started, I believe, around there. So I thought that was pretty cool in terms of storyline. Not cool that they went to that madness. So I'm gonna give that one to the U.S. And then finally, I'm just gonna go with this one. Best best champion. Who was the one that we rooted for more? Was it Tony or was it Amaya? Was it Brian or was it Cash? Both had slightly similar outcomes and stories. Two women, two different walks of life, came into the villa as bombshells, chose the people they wanted to choose. Those men originally treated them like trash. They went to other men. Those men kind of did them dirty and behind their backs was moving crazy on them. They went to Casa, met new dudes, came back with those new dudes. And in one case, Tony walked away from that dude and went back to the guy who treated her like trash. Amaya didn't have a good run with that dude and tried with somebody else. Eventually, it took for heartbreak and sadness to bring two other Casa boys, well, in Tony's case, the same one, but in Amaya's case, a new Casa boy to appear, and they found love all over again. And at the end of everything, they won the whole contest with the boy from Casa. So their stories are similar. They're slightly different stories, but they're similar, but the outcome was the same. Now, I didn't really start rooting for Amaya until I think Austin did her dirty. And she started speaking up for herself a lot more. And she realized her back was against the wall a lot of times. And she was very emotional and she cried a lot. And we watched her go through that. And Tony was a similar story. She fought through a lot and she got like jerked around a lot and she didn't like it. And we watched her cry and she was like, I'm embarrassing myself and this and that and the third. And we felt bad for her. The difference, I think, is I started rooting for Tony probably around the time of Harrison. Like when she got with Harrison and she realized that Harrison was doing doing her dirty. I started rooting for her more. And then when this jerk named Blue was bothering her, I rooted for her even more. But this one, I feel like is more of a draw. I love to root for both of them. They were just really strong examples of a journey of what would happen in Love Island. It was a good Love Island journey. And I got to give them props for that. They both stood on business, 10 toes down, and they won because they stood their ground and believed in their truths and won the whole thing. So I'm going to call out a draw. But the overall consensus, ladies and gentlemen, is that Love Island UK this year was a better season than Love Island USA. Neither of them were really better than the GOATs, Love Island USA season 6. But that also says a lot for a lot of other Love Island UK seasons that are arguably goated too, like the season 5, for example. So I feel like this season, though, season 12 of Love Island was better. It's their 10th anniversary. They did a lot of things. They made history with Tony. They did cool. Um, they didn't even have to have a reunion. So US could win the reunion by default. They did a reunion, but UK just did a party. That's dope. They just did a party and people pulled up and it got lit and they moved on. So UK brought more drama. They made you want to watch. Even if they didn't do near 70 episodes, I feel like they still would have had you sitting there going, huh, interesting. And I thought that was dope. I thought that it was just like what you wanted. It gets crazy. It gets slow at first, and it jumps up, and they kick it to 1,000, and they just start throwing heater, and they want to see cats crash out, and they did. And that's what we wanted, and that's what we got. We watch reality shows for the drama most of the time. So this is what we wanted, was drama. We got that in the US, but we got it better in the UK. I'm standing on that. I'm standing on my own business. So shout out to the UK. They did it this year. Shout out to the US. They did their thing as well. And next summer, if they start at the same time and end around the same time, we're going to be right back here doing it all over again. I can't wait to see which contestants from both regions appear on Love Island Games, because that's the next Love Island we getting until Australia, and then All Stars somewhere next year, and then we'll be right back here where we started. Now, I mean, what do you feel was the better of the two? Do you feel it was the UK or do you feel it was the US? Hit me up in the comments. Let me know. Let's talk about it. Tell me why you think certain things was better than certain things, and we can talk. As always, follow me on my link tree in the description and check out all things Nerds in the Hood. Till next time, I have been voted off the villa and I have 30 minutes to pack my things. I'm gonna go do that, and I'll see y'all on another Love Island summer next summer. But I'll be back for more Nerds in the Hood in the meantime. Peace, people.